My name's Naomi. I'm a member of the Conscious Combat Club.
Hi, my name's Penny McKay. I use she and they pronouns and I'm a graduate of the Conscious Combat Club.
Renee Greerbert, also known as the Veganator, powered by plants, and I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm a graduate.
My name is Georgia Berry. I use she and her pronouns and I'm the founder of the Conscious Combat Club. I love all combat sports. I have dabbled in Kyokushin karate. I trained for 10 years and have a black belt. I did Muay Thai and I had a short career with 5 professional fights. And I also dabble in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I have a bachelor's degree in exercise and sports science, and I love thinking about the ways that people learn and the ways that we can adapt the strategies that we use for teaching based on the individual who's in front of us. The Conscious Combat Club is a trauma-informed kickboxing program run on beautiful Wurundjeri Woi Wurrung country in Melbourne in Australia. It is a registered charity that was established for the purpose of disrupting gender-based violence.
Finding the Conscious Combat Club was an amazing start for me. I never would have tried martial arts without it. I found the idea of going to martial arts gyms really scary and intimidating. So being able to start a program in an environment that was inclusive and welcoming and allowed me to move at my own pace was groundbreaking for me. And I'm so glad the program exists. I definitely wouldn't be as connected and have such an improved sense of well-being without it.
Trauma-informed kickboxing at its core is kickboxing. If somebody learns trauma-informed kickboxing and then goes into another gym, they'll know things like how to do a jab, a cross, a roundhouse kick, all the foundations. There are just a few key differences that have been designed so that the program is inclusive for trauma survivors. So those differences are that there's a focus on body connection, there's a focus on choice, and there's grounding skills embedded in the template. Trauma teaches us that your body's not safe, and so we learn not to feel our bodies. So in trauma-informed kickboxing, we use movements like the kickboxing techniques and also stretching to invite our clients to practice feeling what it's like to be inside of their bodies and to use that as a tool to therefore translate outside of kickboxing. So for example, in class, they might start to feel, I can feel my shoulder muscle while I'm throwing this hook. And then outside of class, when they go to check in with their body and say, am I feeling hungry right now? Am I feeling thirsty? They are more able to connect to those sensations in their bodies. And we know that has huge flow-on effects in everything from eating disorders to their ability to regulate their nervous systems.
I was very shut off from my body, and for me that culminated in an eating disorder, which meant that I was completely disconnected from pains in my body, even good feelings in my body, hunger cues. I just had no connection between my brain and the rest of me. And I'm well and truly recovered now, but I had a really unhealthy relationship with exercise as a part of that. And I never thought I'd be able to exercise in a way that was safe and didn't lead to painful behaviours, because part of it was the reason I couldn't exercise is because to me exercise meant I had to be in pain or it wasn't worth it. And I notice my body. I feel where I hold stress in my body. So then go, okay, I'm feeling that, and then do some stretching, have a hot shower, use a hot water bottle, some deep heat, and release that, release so much of my stress as well. I recognise it now as a tool for movement and enjoyment.
So in some ways, training in combat sports mimics stress. It just doesn't have the emotional attachment that we get when we are actually stressed by someone who says something to us. And the really cool thing about that is then that we can get reps in. In a psychology clinic, they might sit with a therapist, learn a grounding technique in a really calm environment, and then apply that outside of the psychology clinic. We know as martial artists that I wouldn't say to someone, go out in the ring and do a spinning back kick for the first time in competition, but we kind of expect that of people in their day-to-day lives. So we use kickboxing as a tool to help people get repetitions at using grounding skills. And specifically in class, we do this through an activity which we call Pound and Ground.
So Pound and Ground is a game that Georgia invented, but I named. So it was one of the first activities that I learnt in the program. Basically, you pound, so you get your heart pounding. through whatever exercise method you choose. It could be star jumps, running around, maybe you want to practice the kickboxing techniques, and then you ground. So Georgia will run us through various different grounding techniques. So we do it in intervals of 30 seconds, so 30 seconds pounding, then 30 seconds of grounding. You have a choice about how much you want to increase your adrenaline or how much output you want to do and how you want to do it.
This is really the foundational thing that makes trauma-informed kickboxing different, is that everything's by invitation and we don't tell anybody what to do. For a lot of trauma survivors, trauma is a lack of choice. And so teaching people that they do have options and that those options are actually going to be respected. So when they set a boundary, the person's not going to override that, is something that takes time. It takes a while to build that trust, but it's really foundational.
For me, that just felt like having the most autonomy over my experience of practicing martial arts for the first time. And that's part of why it's so important to me, and I'm so enthused about the ethos of the program.
It just teaches people that they do have the ability to set boundaries. It teaches people that their choices are going to be respected, and they start to then look at the world differently. I think particularly for women, very oftentimes we default to looking to other people to tell us what to do, and we don't know any differently, so we don't do any differently. So you have a model for when I say what I want, that's going to be respected. That then starts to transfer over into other parts of our lives.
I used to be at this extreme of it was an object for other people to observe and enjoy, and it had to fit a certain mould and look a certain way and do certain things, or I wanted nothing to do with it. And I didn't want a body at all. I wanted to be this like floating orb of consciousness. I wanted no physical presence in the world. And I don't have either of those anymore, and they're not things that I really thought were possible. And it turns out they're very possible once you have the place and the tools to do that. My body's now, it's my home, and it's what I use to swim and pat my dog and cuddle my family and have dinner with my best friend. And I can do that now because my body is the thing I do that with. It's a tool. It's no longer an enemy, I guess, yeah.
Through my experiences with trauma, I've done a lot of different therapies. I've seen different therapists. I've done different programs and things, but this has probably been the one that's been the biggest change in my life entirely, because it's a group program and because it's a women's only program, and because it incorporates both the confidence skills-based things with also the grounding and relaxation. So it has these two, you're not just focusing on how to down-regulate, you're not just focusing on the emotions, it's really holistic. And so I think that that's why the program is really just a game changer.
Being able to perform movement in an environment where choice is front and centre, where everyone's welcome and respected, and where you can connect with others in an environment where you don't have to share trauma and you don't have to share stories or use talk therapy or words to describe your experiences, but you know that everyone will respect you and your choices and promote your autonomy, is a really healing endeavour, and I can't rave about the Conscious Combat Club enough.